You mentioned this integration of sorts, right? Obviously, you're able to bring your kind of crew from CGR this year, engineering sorts, some sort of collaboration there. And I think that'll be great, right? It's people that you've been working with before. It's people that you know and understand, but maybe new for some of the people on their side. So how's that integration been so far? And I assume it's an exciting position to be in working with this group.
It certainly is, and it's a fantastic opportunity to actually build on what we've done this season, because I mean my engineers that I'll be working with directly, and also with Felix, actually I've spent the entire year with. So, I have my race engineer Angela Ashmore still with me, and our other engineers as well. So I think that's a big positive, because as you know, having some sort of continuity is really quite nice, especially in motorsport where the paddock is small, obviously, but people are always being mixed and matched, if that makes sense. So
myself, that's it. That's all my entire life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a mix and match. I'm like one of those frozen yogurt places, and you could just put whatever flavor you want in it. That's my whole career.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I mean, you've probably worked with everyone in the paddock at this point. I actually watched the podcast with forgotten his name, but Joseph's race engineer.
Oh, Luke. Yeah, Luke Mason. Yeah. Nice. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, I legitimately listened to that when I was doing an hour plank a couple of days ago. I'm not
nice. Great work.
Here we go.
Big plank guy, dude. Yeah.
2 forms of punishment in one. No, I'm kidding.
Nailed it.
Oh.
Hey, someone had to be that guy, and we'll be those guys in your ears. That's fine.
No, it was pretty cool to actually hear that he worked with you once upon a time, and how his experiences have been, etc., etc. I won't spoil it for your listeners, but yes, Angela and I have worked together really well this season, and I feel like there's been many times where we've deserved a result that we haven't necessarily gotten, which, I would say the majority of the grid feels that they had on occasion this year. So it's not unusual. But the good thing is we get to sort of attack it again together. And it's such a competitive championship. Like, I know that it's quite a generic thing to say, but the very small details make a big difference in the end. Even if they seem so small, it does add up. And being around people that you're familiar with, it does pay off. And next year's exciting. It just kind of sucks a bit that we have a 6-month off season or something, 5 months.
Yeah. It's not great. But you talk about the group, right? You 14th in the championship, which again, I don't think that's fair to how well you did this year. I mean, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. I mean, that's a lot of top 10s in this championship. It's very difficult to acquire those top 10s. And I think overall, you have to be, pretty excited about a lot of the things that you were able to accomplish this year. Give us kind of like an overall summary of your season. I would say you did mention very close to a couple good results, but also maybe just kind of right there. But you're still so young. I mean, you're just still getting used to the ovals. You still probably have a lot to learn there too, right?
The ovals it feels like a different sport at times, especially when I first started. And I love it. I want to say that for a start. It's one of those things that I sort of came into it and I didn't know a lot about it. Obviously, I've watched it on TV for my entire life, but to actually compete at the highest level on an oval is very different. And even watching it last season when Takuma was in my car, it's not necessarily, I didn't learn nearly as much as I did at my first oval race. And to actually drive it and feel the flow and everything, it's quite difficult to describe. And I've had to do it a lot lately because obviously I've been here in Europe, talking to quite a few of the drivers here, a lot of F2, F3 guys, and they're all very curious about ovals, and it's really difficult to explain just how difficult it is, because it's it's more so about feeling and less about analysis, if that makes sense. Obviously, but that's, I feel like I know enough now to know that I know nothing. That's the that's the
That's a good way to put it, honestly. Yeah.
Because we had a couple of decent results on ovals.
A couple maybe missed strategies. There were a couple of Marcus trying to do 2 stops at Milwaukee. Might not have been the right way to do. Maybe that was a small miss there.
Dude,
tried hard.
Dude, that first stint. Oh, I wish I had my onboard for that stint, because if there was ever a moment where it was like oval racing in the rain, that was it. It was like, I don't think I turned in one time for that whole stint. I was just
Yikes.
but it was like, sort of a plan that we didn't think it was going to be that bad, but
that was tough.
I think in the end we were trying to do, it was a 2-stop. So not ideal, but nevertheless, we certainly had a go at it, and it was fun, and you live and learn, don't you? But what else? The second Milwaukee race, we got boosted off as well. So it was
kind
tough.
Of like,
yeah. Milwaukee was a whole lot of what could have been, what could have happened, what ifs. And I obviously saw you come around me at the speed of light on the first lap. Like literally, I just saw this green flash come past me.
Well,
and about 15 others.
Yeah. I mean, look, someone had to do it, right? I guess it didn't work the next day, so people learned. Also, it didn't work because you guys all crashed into each other at the start, which not your fault. Obviously, you were victimized aggressively, which did not look like a fun experience. But though, I would say, speaking of that, though, again, near misses in your championship, right? You had 2 races at Milwaukee that I believe your car and you yourself very fast. But that's 2 full races that you lose in a championship battle, right? And that's impossible to come back from in this type of a champ.
It certainly is, and I tried not to think about it really, because I think we were fighting for a decent spot in the championship up until then, after Portland anyway. And now I'm going to embarrass myself. Was Portland before or after Milwaukee? I don't know.
Portland was before.
Right, it was before.
Yes.
So we're in a decent position after Portland, and those 2 races in Milwaukee obviously didn't go to plan, but we qualified, I think, 3rd and 5th maybe.
Yes.
And, it's one of those things, but, it's cool because I didn't expect that to come, especially after that test. We obviously did a test before that race in Milwaukee, and to be honest with you, it didn't go very well. I had never been there before. The track felt very unnatural to me. There was no banking, obviously.
Yeah.
And it may have been the first time I was on a short oval. I can't remember if it was Iowa or Milwaukee test. But in any case, the test before the race didn't go very well, and I obviously did a lot of research and work with the team to try and rectify that for the race weekend. And then suddenly we arrived for free practice, and we had a lot of performance straight away out the gate, which is amazing to have when you have a fast car. As soon as you leave the pit lane, feels good. It's a great feeling.
Feels great.
Yeah, especially in qualifying. My qualifying felt very underwhelming, and we had 2 very good laps. So it was going to be a strong weekend for us. But nevertheless, it's momentum we can take into next season. So I'm actually not dwelling on it. I'm trying to be Mr. Positive, but you did well that weekend as well, man. Like, you were 3rd in the first race, and then I completely forgot what happened in the second race. But
clutch failure, it's fine, no big deal. But we know how it goes, yeah. But let's talk about one other oval, because I would like to. It's been a while since you've been on this show, and I want to talk about your Indy 500, right? So that's a bit of a new experience, right? A bit of a challenging one, but kind of let the fans know, let the people know what you thought of it, how you thought it went, and kind of what you want to do as soon as you show up there next year.
Yeah, obviously we didn't have a very good 500 because we had an engine failure on lap 5 or 6.
exactly. Very short day.
It was a short day. It was a
but
long day.
It's a long month. It's a long month.
Yeah, it certainly is. And that was my first oval as well. So there was a lot of things coming at me quickly, pun not intended. There was a lot of learning going on that month. And, you know, the 500 is something else. There is so much effort and emphasis put on that one race, not to mention the amount of eyeballs that are on you, which, to be honest with you, doesn't affect me at all. You know, I'm in my own bubble. But it does add to the atmosphere and the excitement of the race. So it's obviously different to normal. And the fact that it was my first oval, I wasn't able to relax into it and just sort of trust my instinct like I would normally do. I was sort of having to think about everything 2 or 3 times before I did it. So, you know, as amazing as it is to have someone like Dario Franchitti telling you every 15 seconds to do this better and that better, ultimately I need to go out there and feel it for myself, right? So, and then experience it, know what I did, and just sort of rely on that experience. I didn't have that, so there was just a lot more thinking than what happened in Nashville, for example, which, to be honest, Nashville was very natural and it felt great. That oval I actually really enjoyed. I enjoyed every minute of that weekend. And I'm hoping that I take that same approach into Indy next year, because it's a phenomenal event and I also want to enjoy it as much as I want to win it. I want to enjoy it. So next year is going to be a completely different Indy 500 for me on every single level. And I'm looking forward to it, man. The thing is, I'm thinking about it now, which is, I don't even know if it's a positive thing.